Well, now that I'm back in my own body, see the collab I did with the Grim Reaper to see what I'm talking about, it's time to close off this Fembot marathon. I was hoping to put Road Rage in before I did this, but the pre-orders were cancelled on the site thanks to thieves that wouldn't pay. This is why we can't have nice things. From the same site though, comes the second third-party toy I ever got, and this one is just killer. For simplicity's sake, I'll refer to her as Solus Prime, even though she's never actually looked like this. Well, okay, maybe she sorta did just once, but the proper rendition is supposed to be this instead. Yeah, that just looks ugly. I think I prefer this rendition, regardless of comics or whatever. I'll start off in robot mode, because I think there's a few things I should go over in the transformation, and it's boxed in its robot mode, so things might get a bit complicated when you buy the figure. I know that I don't usually do that, but with the kind of bogus instructions you get with this, that are completely overshadowed by a comic I don't care about, this figure needs it. But in all seriousness, I don't think I've ever seen something this cool in my life. Sure, there's the photos you can see online, but once you get it in hand, it's just so awesome. My only complaint is the fact that it's already sold out in most places. But if a restock does come, get on it! Buy it! If it starts in the middle of this video, stop, buy, come back. Firstly, the mold itself is just so bad. I mean, sure, it's basically just a repaint of IDWRC, but even then it's just got so much going on. The sheer surface detail is utterly astonishing, and the colours, my god, the colours! The translucent aqua is just so eye-catching, and the gold is just, I don't even have the words for it. This figure managed to make pink look epic. I mean, sure, RC kinda looks cool, but she always looked too girly for her own look. But in these colours, this is how you do pink. There are 4 new molded pieces on Solus Prime here. Well, technically there's 5, but for the sake of time, I'll just start off with the head sculpt. It is godlike. Literally. I can't think of a better way to describe it. And she's technically a divine entity. Although there's sadly no light piping, the painted eyes just blaze through the figure's sockets. And the crest just gives her so much character. In terms of accessories, this figure has a whopping 6 of them. First off, we have the swords. These are carried over from the Azalea release, also known as the RC version. Although they're not as vibrant as the originals with their glorious orange, I'm not sure that would have worked for this character. Besides, they need to keep the costs down, and that probably would have meant that the eyes wouldn't have been painted so well. So I can let it slide. The pistols have also been carried over, and although you don't get Rupertorium's bow piece, I don't really see the point of that thing anyway. These look epic. It shows how Solus Prime is completely no-nonsense and will do anything to succeed. Also kind of reminds me of Revy from Black Lagoon. All 4 of these weapons can store either on the hips or the backpack flaps. I usually put the swords up top so that the guns are fully visible. Even just having them on the waist and not doing anything with them does so much for this figure. Finally, we get a new weapon exclusive to this set. This is the Forge. The Forge. The Forge of Solus Prime with the figure of Solus Prime. Let me tell you, this thing is almost perfect. The way it blends the colours here is so good. The diameter of the handles is decided to be held in either 1 or 2 hands, and sadly this thing is just way too tiny. I mean, I get why it had to be so small because of the vehicle mode integration, but come on. It's more like an oversized mallet for her. This is made even more apparent when you realise that the centre of the hammer can actually be used with 5mm ports. Or at least ones that don't go all the way through. Honestly, this thing doesn't look good with anything. Even with modern Legends class figures, the smallest figures we have, it just seems to be way too small. Maybe it'll work for Iron Factory City Commander though. I don't know if he has 5mm hands, but I've got one on stack, so I'll let you know when that review comes around eventually. Boop. Ha. Final accessory is this little foot stand that helps her posing. It acts as a hover stand in vehicle mode, but it's nice to know it has some function outside that. It sadly doesn't work too well though, as the port plugs in behind the heel tilt, which means it doesn't actually help with the main point of stability, which is the front of the foot. So posing it properly is a bigger pain than it's actually work. It's all okay though. Solus Prime can easily have most poses, especially without the hammer. So far this figure has been exceptional, and I can tell you right now that it is certainly going to continue to be so. Thing is though, no figure is perfect. For starters, these shoulder pieces that have been placed over the existing ones are incredibly hampering on posability. They're always bumping into the backs of the shoulder flaps, and as good as they look, they cause an even worse problem. You see, this mode has 2 different transformation schemes, a jet and a hovercar. The latter is the intended transformation, and I mean when this figure first came out, when they didn't realise they could fiddle around and fan mode it into an official jet. And honestly, the jet mode just looks bad. With the shoulder pads, you can't actually access the proper mode, and the instructions very well know that, only telling you how to get to the jet. You can still do the car, but only if you remove the shoulder flaps. and parts forming is terrible in my opinion. Well, it's okay if it's a weapon that integrates, or a headmaster, even though I'm not too big a fan of the concept, or even combiner kibble. But this is just a completely shitty way of designing a toy. These provide nothing. So, there's a simple solution. Oh my god, they didn't even bother to glue them in properly. Oh my, they just peg off like that. Normally this would be a con, but in the case of this, it actually fixes the figure unintentionally. The sad thing is the chest piece has the exact same problem, and it is a problem here. Guess we'll be using plastic glue after recording this. The other two gripes I have with this figure relate to the backpack. This thing hampers poseability even more so than the shoulder pads, and there's really no way of fixing this. It looks fine though, so I can probably let it slide. The final problem, and this is a really big gripe, is that I've actually had this toy break itself. I didn't do anything extreme to it, but this little clip on her back broke off. I tried gluing it back on, but it just broke again. It's not causing too many problems, and I've had far worse from other toys from Hasbro, but it's still a con. For articulation, the head is on a ball joint, but sadly gets restricted by the backpack. The chest is on a ball joint, and it has the same problem. And likewise, so does the waist ball joint. The arms are on a ball joint with shoulder pad articulation, and the shoulder wings can move back for some extra motion. The elbows are double jointed really well, and the wrist swivels. The utility belt sections are articulated for some reason. I can't say why, that doesn't really add much. The hips are on incredibly tight ball joints that don't allow for rotation that much, but thankfully you do have a thigh swivel to remedy that. Finally, she has proper double jointed knees, an ankle tilt, and a heel tilt. If the backpack hadn't been so difficult, this would have been an amazingly articulated figure. For a size comparison, she's quite taller than a deluxe, modern or otherwise. This is one of the points of reference I used for Masterpiece Bumblebee. They're about the same price. If a third-party toy can charge the same price as a Masterpiece but make something bigger, then what the hell is Hasbro doing? I thought third-party was supposed to be more expensive, even more so than Masterpiece. Oh well, that was just an issue with Bumblebee though. I'm sure the other MPs don't have that problem. Oh, and don't comment on how I've had the arms mistransformed. I know that, but it looks better this way. Okay, now I don't really do this that much because I don't really see the need to, because there are many transformation instructional videos out there, but I thought, yeah, I'm not sure a lot of them actually go over how Salvia Prominon, or Solus Prime, as she's properly called, transforms, especially at the first bit. I mean, the rest you can just look up, even in the bogus instruction booklet that makes more room for a comic than an actual instruction manual. I haven't read the comic, I don't really care. I think most people who have the toy or plan on getting the toy know the part I'm talking about, and that is, of course, the main torso transformation. So I'll just go through it just briefly. Now, the thing that you want to do here when you shove the head into the backside, and it's a lot less gross than it sounds, there's a couple of things you want to note. Now you want to be careful about the position of this. You want to make sure this is in position first, and like the front, the polygon chest. And then when you do the head through, you also want to make sure that's all the way there. The final thing, and this is one of the things many people actually, this is one of the things I wanted to outline in this, because not many other reviewers actually do this. You see this part here? This should all be straight. If it's like this, then it won't line up properly, and you'll find your vehicle mode is all messed up and the stand doesn't work properly, and the stand really works in the vehicle mode. But if you do it right, everything should go smoothly. Another indicator is that when you take it out, if you've done it right on the first way, the head should be able to come out smoothly. If you hadn't done it properly, like if the head wasn't done smoothly, then the head would have violently popped off the ball joint and been sent flying over there. Not to be lost like a missile, but it still would have been mildly annoying. Now that's the main thing, just make sure the torso here is lined up. I don't really do a lot of stuff like this. I usually just keep my reviews nice and scripted and, you know, keep transforming the things, and because honestly there's enough videos out there telling you how to transform a damn transformer. But the thing is, the instructions are bogus, and I don't really know if anyone's saying this because I haven't watched the videos in the entirety, and even if they have said it, I think it needs to be stressed quite a bit that that's a very important step, because if everything's lined up properly, then the rest of the transformation is a breeze, and the actual vehicle mode is also a breeze, and there shouldn't be any problems. That's all I wanted to say. I'll get back to the video. Whoops. Damn, I can't edit that out. You saw nothing, you saw nothing, you saw nothing. Okay, after that little difficulty is pushed aside, you can go and look up the rest of the transformation video somewhere else, as I summarize the rest. Seriously, there's like tons. Vangelis has done one, tons of other people have done one. The backpack section was a really difficult part in the engineering, but the rest is just pure robot heaven. This is my kind of transformation, with all the parts going all over the place in a really solid way. It just works on so many levels. It's right up my alley. I also like how the hammer splits apart, compresses, and uses a little smashy bit at the end to become an engine. Same as with the Nightbird review, I'm not a weapons nerd. I don't care what it's called. This alternate mode is obviously going to be very polarizing off the bat, similarly to most of the figures of the Reformatted line. Well, not Six-Shot, but he's got nostalgia to back him up. This figure, on the other hand, has nothing. No prior plastic versions, no substantial comic appearances, and no part in any TV show, movie, or game. So a Cybertronian alt mode may be a bit hard to take in. This figure, though, knocks the ball right out of the park, transforms into its little space car mode, hovers up, and then kicks the ball into space until it reaches Unicorn and smashes him through the eye, which is probably being repaired by Starscream at that point or something. In other words, this is glorious! For starters, the shape of this thing is amazing. All the techno bits just blend in so well, and in many cases it's hard to tell this thing transforms at all unless you look at it from the bottom, which you'll see the stand is giving a nice hover effect on it. The colour placement is also so damn awesome, with the gold reinforcing just how divine this character is. And I mean in a literal sense, not, ooh, it's you know, cute and stuff. This is a proper prime. Up there with Optimus, Vector, and Nova. And maybe Alpha Trion, I'm not sure if he's a Prime. And maybe Sentinel Prime, I don't know! The point is, oh wait, Nova's evil, I don't know if he counts either. But the point is, who cares? This figure is just amazing! The weapon storage is also utterly fantastic. The head of the hammer, which is what I think it's called, works amazingly as an engine. Alternatively, you can use the pistols, but they don't really look good and the head sculpt kinda makes it look bad anyway. No worries though, as they blend in really well with the sides. Sadly, the hammer handle doesn't do too well. It looks fine, but in comparison to the rest of the weapon storage, it just seems kind of odd. Maybe it looks better in the jet mode, eh? Well, before we get to that, let's just do a size comparison. I'm honestly really surprised at how small this thing is in vehicle mode. In its robot form, it was taller than most deluxes, while still having plenty of heft to her. Now she's barely the size of a power core combiner. What happened? Did she become a TARDIS? Is she bigger on the inside? Which remind me, wouldn't a TARDIS transformer just take up several planets in its robot mode but be tiny in its TARDIS mode? Seems like the 3D printing kit must have gone through some serious shrinking between the conversion, which is sort of like a reverse Megatron, with a bigger alt mode than the vehicle mode is. Now, the transformation of jet mode is really bad. It basically takes the awesome established proper mode and then folds it out. It just seems like fan moding to me, other than the fact that the wings are designed to fold out and the shoulder pads parts form. Those pads, they're the main reason why I hate this mode. I'm a serious hater of this kind of thing. It's why I can't see myself buying Iron Factory Evil Lord or Overlord or whatever you want to call him, even though I know he's a great figure. Six Gun's an exception though. I mean, who doesn't like Six Gun? He transforms into Six Guns, damn it! Why don't you like him? Ah, They've taken a great vehicle mode and completely butchered it. I don't know how to begin with. Not like the other times where it was so good. This is just horrible. The nose cone looks completely tacked on and it ruins the use of the gun on the bottom. The top section is now completely exposed, making it look hella ugly. The limbs are exposed now too, and the head is completely visible as well. If you peg in the swords, it does sort of solve the problem, but not by much. Besides, they look much better in the last mode, and at least they were optional there. Here they're a must, even if they look tacked on. As much as I was hating on Generation Springer for his issues, at least the parts forming made sense, because they became weapons. This is no excuse. If this were the main mode, it would only be 2 stars, and that's just atrocious. Thankfully though, this figure is designed in such a way that the other mode can be completely ignored. You're not really missing out on anything by leaving it aside, and you'll still get this full $80 experience from this toy. Yes, Solus Prime has a dark side, but she's risen above it by forsaking her shoulder pads and returning to her Azalea roofs, and she's a better bot for it. And I'm happy to say that she is worth 5 stars. If you see this, or any version of the mold, except Eupatorium because the paint is terrible, I urge you to pick this up. In fact, this set comes with flaps for the medic variant of the figure, and honestly, I don't think that one looks too bad. I think I should pick it up, and considering how I usually only get one version of a mold, the fact that I want to repaint is a truly admirable thing indeed. Mastermind Creations, you've done very well. I can safely say that at this time of recording, Solus Prime, or Salvia Prominon if you insist on calling her that, is my favourite figure. You don't have to be big to be the best. Sometimes it can help though. So next time, I'm reviewing Leader Class Mega... Wait, no. What are you doing with that? I don't collect Funko Pops. Wait. No, 2, no, stop it. 3, 4, 5, stop it! I don't collect them! Somebody help! I'm drowning in Deadpool Funko Pops!